Hello everybody, it's time for another video. I've been on testosterone for 14 months now and not a lot is happening actually, so I guess this is more of a sort of a philosophical type video than anything else. Yeah, I had an interesting conversation with Dr. Curtis on Friday, and I'll kind of tell you the proper results of that in a minute, but something he mentioned struck a bit of a chord with me, not necessarily a good chord, but it made me think. And he was talking about how trans people eventually kind of move on, and that got me to thinking kind of what he meant by that and things like that. Excuse me. I suppose you know, from speaking to him and also talking to people in the past, there is for a lot of people the idea that you identify as trans, that you transition physically, medically, and so on, and then you kind of come out of it the other end as your, and I'm going to put this very much in inverted commas, your target gender. I know that that does not reflect the way an awful lot of people think, but I think it reflects the way that these things are often perceived by people. And that just threw up a lot of things for me, because I thought, well, you know, does that mean that I should somehow, you know, be trans for a while and then kind of that I should be finished, you know, that, I don't know, you take the hormones for long enough and you get the appropriate surgery for how you wish to be, and, you know, then somehow it's kind of, you should kind of almost give up being trans and just get on with being a man. Now, one of the issues I suppose that brings up is that, of course, a lot of people who are identified, I keep on saying by society, I think, you know what I mean, that they're identified by others anyway as trans, don't necessarily identify themselves as trans. So, you know, to say to them, you know, you've got to be trans for a while or whatever would just be ludicrous, because they would say, well, look, I'm a guy, I'm a man, I always have been. Never mind what my body is. You know, I know who I am. I know what I am. Therefore, I'm not trans. And there are a lot of people who don't identify as trans, and I think you know, we need to maybe consider that a bit more in a lot of sort of trans writing and blogging and so on and so forth. As it is, actually, that's not particularly how I feel. I identify as trans. I also identify as genderqueer, which I guess for me means that I don't have a strong sense that I am one gender or the other. However, I know where I'm more comfortable, and I'm more comfortable being identified by others as male and stuff like that. So why then would I have to, at any point in my life, have to kind of get over being trans, if you like? I've said before, and I've used all sorts of analogies, that, you know, it's expected that trans people are kind of cooked, baked, you know, all the ingredients get put together, and then we're done, we're sorted, you know, our popcorn has popped, and that's it. I'm not sure what my cat's doing in the background there, by the way, so I apologise if she does anything a bit mental. But yeah, this idea that somehow we have to be finished is a very interesting one, and maybe that's reflected in some ways by the fact that a lot of blogs and a lot of YouTube stuff is done either by quite young trans guys or by people like me who are older but who are transitioning relatively later on in life. And there's less stuff around from more mature trans guys, and I don't mean mature as in older, I mean mature as in, you know, they've been transitioning for quite a longer period of time, or, you know, they went through the medical aspect of transition some time ago and they're now just living their lives, and that's kind of a shame. I wonder whether it will be easier for people like me who are sort of going through it at the moment, not necessarily to be gaining insight from people who are in the same place as me, but from insight from people who are that little bit further on. That would be interesting. There's not that many trans guys out there who act as mentors, and those who do are very, very valuable, I think, to people like me. This is a little bit waffly, and I'm sorry for that. It's just kind of, it's something that when Dr. Curtis kind of talked about, you know, when people are done, when they're moving on from being trans, it bothered me slightly, because I think, well, you know, why should there be a point at which you stop identifying a certain way? So there you go. That's my waffle. Just a pause for thought. Anyway, as I say, I went to Dr. Curtis on Friday, and I asked him about switching the way that I use testosterone. And I want to switch from Testogel, which is the stuff you kind of smear on your body every day, to Libido, which is a 3-monthly injection. And it's a big injection, apparently. It's a big oil-based injection that has to be administered by nurse. The reasons for it, very briefly, are that I have a lot of dysphoria around the idea of having to put on gel every day, because it's a constant reminder of the fact that I have to, that the testosterone is not being produced by me, and that I find really, really difficult. I didn't think I would, but I have. So I'm going to be giving the Libido a run. Dr. Curtis was quite happy. Apparently there are problems regarding things like my acne getting worse, possibly breakthrough bleeding, which I don't really want, but we'll see. Possible sort of lack of energy during the changeover and things like that, but that's just one to think about for next month. I'll feed back, because hopefully by then I should have started on it. So it's kind of a short one, this one, and I'm sorry if it's been a bit waffly. I just wanted to kind of get my thoughts out there on the whole moving on from being trans or not. So I hope you have a great month. I am doing some work on a collaborative channel called It's a Man's World FTM1, and I'm doing a weekly video for that, kind of on set topics each week, so it's a bit of a challenge, and I'll put a link to it down there. So take care, bye bye.